Now, I have just enjoyed a tweet from Black Slab Records, owned by Papa Slab, as I think we now call him. And he just says, mini morning rave with @Julie Donaldson on @Zetland FM. KLF, 3am Eternal and Erasure, love to hate you. Which, well, why not? Why not? If you can't have a mini rave on a Monday morning, why can't you? Anyway, speaking of Black Slab Records, and indeed Papa Slab, this weekend is Record Store Day. It's a day to celebrate the independently owned record store. Now, you might sort of think to yourself, everybody's buying downloads now, aren't they? Do we need records? Do we need vinyl? Yes, in actual fact we do, because sales are very much on the up. You may remember buying vinyl records yourself, albums. You might still be doing it, actually. And when you used to buy it, there was something really joyful about it. The smell of it, the feel of it, the look of it. There was always lyrics, a lyric sheet inside. You quite often got booklets that had information and pictures. There was something far more joyful about getting a vinyl album than there ever has been with a download, by quite some way. Even though from a download digital point of view, it's mobile, you can take it lots of places, but there's something still very special about records. And on that basis, we celebrate Record Store Day with Mark from, well, Papa Slab, from Black Slab Records after 10 o'clock this morning. I mean, I wonder what this looked like on vinyl. What was the cover like? Do you remember the cover? Now, this weekend sees Record Store Day, a day to celebrate the independently owned record store. Now, you may well wonder why, in this era of digital downloads, that we actually need such a thing. You might even wonder why somebody would open up a record shop these days. You say, what? But actually, the vinyl record with its beautiful covers, the lyric sheets that often come with, the pull-out booklets that I've had from certain... Oh, yeah, the Reflex, Seven and the Ragged Tiger by Duran Duran came with a booklet. I remember that. And they're still greatly treasured. That's the thing. We still love them. They're still cherished. And sales are definitely up. Now, the owner behind our very own local store, Black Slab, is with me now. Please welcome Papa Slab, or Mark Stubbs. Morning to you, Mark.
Morning, Julie.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks, yeah.
Marvellous.
Thank you very much.
Now then, Record Store Day. Where did that all come from?
I think it's been going for like a decade or so, to be honest with you, and it was just a way to push the vinyl industry, because it was kind of really down in the dumps for a long time, you know. So the Record Store Day, it's a way for the independent shops. I mean, there's around about 250 independent shops in the UK.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's all, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow,
like
that's tiny.
Independent stores. So it's only a small amount, but it's a chance for us to push back against, like, the big A online, you know, and who take most of independent record sales, you know, because they're happy to run with loss leaders all the time. So we get releases. I think there's something like over 500 releases just penciled in for that day. So it's a massive day for independent record shops. It's our chance to kind of push back and let people know that we're there. We're still there, you know.
So actually we are lucky to have you if there's so few shops of your sort in the country.
Well, absolutely. I mean, when I signed up for Record Store Day last year, my first one, I felt it was like an absolute privilege to be doing it, you know. It was something for the town, because for the past 10 years or so, there's only been Sound It Out in Stockton do it, and they've been doing an excellent job, to be fair. They've built it up to ridiculous levels where they're queuing around the block for 2 days, you know. So we're not trying to compete with them, but we'd like to run alongside them, you know, and eventually compete with them, you know. You never know.
Why not? Why not? Now, the sales of vinyl are generally on the increase,
yes,
aren't they? What do you think's the joy that people want to start bringing them back?
It's the aesthetic, isn't it? It's the holding it in your hand. I mean, we all remember it. And before I opened the shop, I wanted a whole new generation to experience that, because there's probably a generation, maybe 2 generations, the iPod generation I call them, where they haven't even experienced that, you know. And I've been saying that from day one, and the amount of young kids, and I mean young kids, early teens, that are coming in, but just picking up a little bit of cheap vinyl, and just to get the collection going, you know. So I think as much as the sales in vinyl are increasing, they still make a a really, really tiny dent in the overall sales, you know. But I think we're reaching a point where we're going to end up with two formats, and that'll be streaming and it'll be vinyl.
I mean, the interesting thing, you know, because you are knowledgeable on these matters, the record producer Steve Albini. And I always remember somebody in an interview saying to him, have a listen to the music that you've produced as a download. And he couldn't believe just how sort of squished it is.
That's right, yeah.
How really compressed it is.
It's compressed to death,
and he went, I hardly would recognise that as my own music.
Yeah.
So is that a big advantage as well in terms of sound?
I think it is for the audiophile, you know, someone who... me personally, it's the van. Yes, the sound's better. I mean, I had this discussion with a lad, and he'd bought a David Bowie album, and there was only one word in it that sounded different on vinyl to his CD version and his MP3 version. So we were thinking he was thinking there was something wrong with the vinyl, and I was like, there can't be anything wrong with the vinyl. So we played it, and basically, what we've figured out was there was just more frequencies coming through on the vinyl. So it sounded a little bit different, you know. But he's that picky. This lad's that picky, you know. He'd picked out on this one word and he went, that sounds different, you know. So we spent a full day going over it with him and just trying to point out that it was just a different frequency. And we were showing him diagrams and all sorts about how the compression technique worked, you know. So we got there in the end. So
I'm guessing that really what you are getting on a vinyl is exactly how it should sound.
Yeah, well, as near as, obviously, depending on your sound system.
Now that's the thing, you see, isn't it? You can't, because a lot of vinyl turntables now are very. You get these really weird sort of cheap tinny
the Suitcase
things.
Ones,
Exactly.
Yeah. And I often say, I mean, even with the Suitcase ones, though, I mean, I won't name them, but even if you put a pair of computer speakers on them rather than the inbuilt speaker, you'll get a far superior sound. Now, what I always advise people is with them Suitcase ones, they're great for singles. For 7-inch singles, you know, if you've just got them in the band's bedroom, buy a handful of singles and do what we used to do, flicking through your singles on a night, you know, and give them a taste of it that way, rather than I can't see the sense in spending £50 on a record player than £30 on a record. In my world, I would spend £100 on a record player and just go buy some cheap records to get your collection going, you know, and then build it up slowly rather than jumping straight in.
It's funny because I sometimes think about people who are coming into radio now. When I started, it was queuing records, and you had to give it that extra quarter turn so it didn't slurp into it. And you always of course, you didn't have a machine that told you how long till the lyrics started, whether it had a fade end. You had to really know your music. Yeah,
well, I mean, I came from like the house music dance world where it was all about beat mixing and it was all vinyl. There was no MP3s back then, you know. It was all about vinyl. So it was all about queuing in, and it was all about how good your decks could, the traction on them, and just specifics like that. But we in the shop we only ever use DJ decks anyway because they're just rock solid performance, you know. So we don't go for the audiophile £8,000 for a stylus, you know. My ears are only so good. So as long as it sounds nice, that'll do me, you know.
Sounds like a plan to me. We're going to take a break. We're going to have some music. Unfortunately, that's just going to be on computer. But we'll talk more vinyl after that.
The Morning Mix on Zetland FM.
Jonas Brothers, new single from them and Sucker. I mean, we say new single, but whether anybody goes out and buys new singles, new releases on vinyl, do they,
Well,
Mark?
the collectors love singles. The real collectors, you know, they love singles. But yeah, we sell quite a bit of new vinyl. We did really well with Ian Brown this year. He had a new album out. Who else was there? There was another one that's stuck in my head for some reason. Oh, the Specials. Obviously, the Specials.
Well.
Yeah, well, we couldn't get enough of them.
I'm guessing, though, the kind of people who like the Specials or like Ian... where did Ian Brown?
Brown, yeah.
I can imagine you are probably of a certain era anyway, and on that basis you still kind of find that attraction to vinyl.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised. I mean, even some of the younger ones will come in and pick them up as well, you know. So there is a new generation coming through, definitely. Just if there's enough, I don't know, but there is a generation.
So you are seeing young people come through the shop?
Absolutely, yeah, you'd be surprised, like really young.
Because I'm saying to Mark while the music was on there about how me and my auntie trounced from shop to shop to shop to shop when I was a kid to get the Grease soundtrack, and you couldn't get it anywhere.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it for love nor
Yeah.
money. And my auntie ended up in all her sweetness buying me Totally Hot by Olivia Newton-John because she thought that was a fair equivalent.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Olivia Newton-John, but it's not Grease.
Yeah,
it's not Grease.
Grease was massive, wasn't it? It was huge.
But I was mesmerised because when you took the sleeve out, of course, it had all the lyrics to all the songs inside, which is you just don't get.
Well,
that
if you
now.
open a CD, you can't read the booklet inside it because the writings are small, can you? So never mind trying to. I used to get the words wrong anyway, so.
And that's the thing that sort of young people today, in a way, don't get to enjoy because the download digital is available 24 hours a day. You can do it millions of times. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but there's none of that. I don't know. My thoughts on it is if they download a digital album, they're only listening. They're skipping the tracks. It's too easy to skip the tracks. Whereas if you used to put an album on, you sit your backside down and you'd kind of get a bit lazy, have a drink or whatever, and you couldn't be bothered getting up to turn it over. So you kind of listen to the full side by default, and then and you find the ones that grow on you slowly end up being your favourite tracks, and the hits you bought it for end up being your least favourite tracks because you get sick of hearing them on the radio and whatever. You know what I mean?
Do you know that is a really interesting thought? That in terms of we when CDs and digital we skip.
Yeah.
But with a vinyl, you absolutely
you listen
really
to the album, how
grew
it's
to an
been
album.
crafted into. They've picked which track order and everything that it should go on and which side. I mean, just stick Dark Side of the Moon on and listen to a masterpiece. From
Do you
side to
find
side.
that when you hear a song, you automatically start to follow it by in your own head singing the next song that
the
would
next
be
song,
on the
of
album?
course you do, in the track order. But again, there'll be a whole generation that don't do that because they're just skipping through the favourite tracks. I don't know. Is that a good thing? I don't think it is.
Now, of course, we're talking to you today because it is Record Store Day on Saturday.
It is.
And you said there's quite a lot of rules and regulations. It's quite a formal thing. Tell us about that.
It's, there's a lot. There's a lot of rules around it. For instance, we can't take pre-orders for any item. We're restricted in how many they send us. So we kind of get choked by the size of the shop, We're not allowed to open until 8 o'clock. It's strictly first come, first served. Otherwise, they just take it off you, So you wouldn't be doing it the year after if they found out.
Really?
Yeah, it's like that,
Well, that's really unfortunate because I'm here at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I can't be parked outside your shop.
No, there'll be a sense there'll be a queue this year. I mean, last year there was a handful of people, but we were still getting quite established last year, But what we found last year was there was a few people queuing at Stockton, getting to the front of the queue and they'd sold out what they wanted. And then they were coming to us and they were walking straight in the shop and walking straight out with it. So what you might find, there might be a little change there this year. I don't know, but we're spitting in the wind. We have no idea. We have no idea how it's going to work out.
Because one of the albums you've just mentioned is about the Madness one.
Oh yeah, it's a picture disc single, I believe it is. But the demand for that, unbelievable. And of course, people are messaging us all week. Can you put me one away? Can you put one away? And we just can't do it. We can't do it. It is because I could have had them all sold already. I mean, I know that title will sell. It'll sell on the day straight away. But
and so the limited edition, the picture ones.
Yeah, very limited. Yeah.
But could you still buy a black vinyl, a normal black vinyl?
No, there's no.
Really?
It's just the picture. This is it. See the exclusive reissues of stuff that hasn't been out before, or has never been out on vinyl. So there's over 500 releases. I mean, personally, the one I'm waiting for is the Get Carter soundtrack.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the one I'm
Has that
waiting
never
for.
been out before?
I'm not sure if it's been out, but it's coming out on orange vinyl. In a gatefold, so that'll be really nice, yes. And I haven't got it, so I need that for myself,
Oh, so you flagged the first come, first serve,
I don't. I'll see if there's one left at the end of the day. If there's one left, I'll take it.
Bless you, Mark.
That's the way I
Bless
do it,
you.
Yeah, one will turn up, won't it?
Well, go on. What's a big outstanding one for you, apart from that?
A single I'm waiting on, actually, is the Peddlers on a Clear Day. Do you know that one?
No, I don't, actually.
Well, you've heard of the Peddlers. They were like... It was on the Breaking Bad soundtrack, briefly.
I'm not a Breaking Bad watcher.
Are you not?
No.
Oh, well, it's a fantastic song. It's from the 60s, 70s, fantastic single. So I'm waiting on that as well, singles-wise. But there's a few nice bits. The John Lennon Imagine early mixes So these have never been out before. So when there's a lot of demand for anything John Lennon, especially if it hasn't been out before, you know. So there's a couple of Ian Brown singles, a Bob Dylan Blood on the Tracks demos coming out. Noel Gallagher, High and Flying Birds remixes. David Bowie, Pin-Ups on Picture Disc, which I think is the first time that's been released. So there's a wide variety. The Crow soundtrack.
Oh
album.
yeah. I'm
Apparently
familiar with
there's
it.
a lot of interest in that. So it's these vinyl oddities that you don't think they'll be interesting, but people really want them, you know.
So from an independent record shop point of view, how do you get involved? What do you have to do? I mean, obviously you have to have a shop, but what's your process to get involved?
Well, the point of Record Store Day is for the bricks and mortar shops. So obviously you need the shop to start with, and you've got to sign up with a company called Era, and then you sign up for Record Store Day through them, you know. And then, of course, you got to have accounts with all the companies that distribute the vinyl for Record Store Day. So it is quite a laborious process, and last year we did learn a lot because we missed out on a couple of big companies by not signing up in time. So we got on top of it this year round. So
you learn lessons quickly.
Exactly. If we learn something every year from it, that'll do me. That's fine, and we'll just grow it, you know.
Now, you said there's 500 releases just on that one day.
Yeah.
So do you have to put an order into each thing?
Yeah.
Does somebody automatically send you it?
We've been ordering since the list was released. I think it was the end of February. I can't remember. So we've been ordering for about the last month or so.
So will you have all of those albums and singles?
No, you've got to filter it out. To stock 500 is just really, because you'd have to buy multiple copies of each as well. So before you know it, you're into it. You're not into 500, you're into 2,000, you know. So it's just too many. You can't cope with that. I mean, I think we're up to about 200 titles so far, and we've got another 2 big deliveries coming. So we'll see what's in there, you know. I mean, get Carter's in there somewhere.
Was there anything? Now, this is a really tricky question, I think. Was there anything in that list that kind of made you went, not a hope in hell, I'm not going to touch that?
There was plenty. I mean, there's plenty of stuff I've never even heard of, you know. And I work in a record shop, so if I've never heard of it, I'm not. But what we did this time is we asked people online to let us know what they were interested in, and then they've given us their feedback, and we've tried to order as many of the copies of whatever people wanted as we could, you know. And that's the only way you can do it with not being able to take pre-orders, say. So you can just guess.
Quite clever.
But
quite clever way of doing it.
One that did pop up, and you would think I probably wouldn't order it, but I did, was a Baby Shark picture disc.
Oh, no, Baby Shark!
Yeah, and I think that'll sell really well. I think it'd be a surprise. I think that'll just be a nice little add-on in people's other collection, you know. Because
I'm sure it will.
It's a nice little thing, you know. So hopefully that turns up.
So when you were looking through and people were offering their suggestions, were there any that surprised you?
No, nothing surprises me anymore in this.
So
you know,
now we've heard a Baby Shark. Clearly
well, this
not.
is it. I mean, I know how broad my own tastes are, so nothing surprised me at all, you know. What does surprise me is I mean, last year, for instance, there was, I think what we sold out of first was Shakin' Stevens' new album.
No, really?
Yeah, that was the first one to sell out, and his followers are just obsessed.
I tell you now, mind, I had him as a Julie's Gem last year. It was a cracking little tune.
Class, yeah.
It really
well,
was.
Even his original stuff, I mean, often we've been having parties and it's kind of lulled a little bit, you know what I mean? So we'll stick a bit of Shakin' Stevens, just around the house, this isn't out in public. I might add. We're just around the house, but we'll stick Shakin' Stevens on. He rocks the place, you know.
He peps you up, no end.
Especially if you've had a couple, you know.
Now, all in all, you said they're quite strict and quite formal with everything as part of that. But is this worth doing?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's good for the town, to be honest with you. Look at some of the footage from Sound It Out in Stockton over the past few years, and you'll see that what a benefit that is to Stockton, you know. And I think they won Record Shop of the Year in one of the magazines, which is good, fantastic. You know what I mean? Fair play to them. Previously, though, between Newcastle and Leeds, there was only Sound It Out but now you've got another option as well.
Have you got a
us.
nice relationship with them?
We've had one of the lads in the shop. We've had a little bit of a crack with him, and we don't really have a lot to do with them, but I'm absolutely fine with
You're not
what
looking
they're
at
doing.
each other with daggers going,
Absolutely
ooh.
not. No, absolutely not. If anything, like I say, we can compliment them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think what's really nice about it is, you know, I've had people say to me when they've just been visiting and said, oh, have you still got that record shop? And I say, yeah, go up, have a bob round, he's open. And I know that people have actually come in from overseas and they seek you out specifically.
Yeah, 90% of my customers are from Redcar.
I think that's amazing.
I get them from all over, honestly.
The world, all over the world.
Yeah,
That's phenomenal.
It's crazy, isn't it? And the last 2.5, 3 years have been insane. From where I was when I first came on here, you know. Things have changed so much, not just for me, but in the town in general.
It is on the up, mind, isn't it?
It is. Parts of it are. Parts of it. I think parts of the High Street are still really struggling. Regent Walk's still not looking brilliant. I mean, there's a few big units there that are going, but particularly down our end of the town, the Courtham Quarter, as I call it, it seems to be thriving, and it seems to be going to the next level now. I mean, we've had a year of all these micro pubs opening and what have you, and they were kind of just finding their feet. But I think they're moving on now to the next level. We've got a great music scene building. They're doing comedy nights, and they're kind of bedding in, you know. And they're finding the place. They're all finding their own little niche. So that's fantastic. It's amazing. Compared to the first time I came on here, there was the Gypsy Rover, I think, and Rita's. That was about it, wasn't it?
I know. The thing is, you, and we said that at the time, that you've put your money where your mouth is. Yeah. You're being really proactive. You're doing your bit. You can't make changes for everything.
No, you
but
can't.
you are absolutely doing your bit.
You've got to focus on your own little nation and just hope everybody else sees what you're trying to do. And I hope that when I open, that push people on a little bit to spur them on to push this end of the town on, you know.
Fabulous. So, Record Store Day is this Saturday.
This Saturday, yeah.
And opens from 8 o'clock.
The doors open at 8 a.m, but they'll be queuing quite early, so... But we expect to be busy all weekend, Saturday and Sunday, so...
Fabulous. Anything else you'd like to mention?
No, that's brilliant. Thanks, Julie.
Brilliant. Mark, thank you so much.
Love you.
The Morning Mix on Zetland FM. Home call support independent.
New single from Nina Nesbitt and Love Letter. Just looking at a couple of posts in relation to the lovely Mark Stubb, otherwise known as Papa Slab from Black Slab Records. The Record Store Day, just as a reminder, is this Saturday coming. Shops open from 8 o'clock and his will open from 8 o'clock. But like he says, people will be parking up quite early outside the shop. So if you're wandering past quite early doors, wondering why the big queue, Record Store Day, simple as. Lots of albums available and indeed singles like the Madness one, which is a picture disc. Lovely and very popular. There's only 5 copies going to be there. So turn up and park your backside and just prepare for doors opening at 8 o'clock. Carolyn Addison, morning to you. She says, morning. I received a record player last year for my daughter and own loads of LPs and received a Roy Orbison one. Sound great. Indeed they do. Gordon Sanderson, I feel slightly distressed reading yours. Gordon says, I managed to leave some singles out last year and they warped in the sun. Is there a way to straighten them? Somebody suggested boiling water. Oh, I just don't know. I don't know what you would do to that. I really don't. I would ask. In fact, what I've done is I've copied your message and I've messaged Mark to see if he might be able to advise on that sort of thing. Probably he will just pull the same noise that I've just played, which is... I don't know how to help. I'm so sorry. But that's how we are with vinyl. You've really got to look after it, that's for certain. Now then, what do we need to do before 11? And then it's a proper belter. It's a proper dance floor tune for the Julie's Gem this morning.